It's been a month since Germany's general elections. Though the country still doesn't have a new government, it does have a new parliament. And today, the new parliament, younger, more female and more ethnically diverse, met in session for the first time. Germany's Social Democrats are now the biggest party. Outgoing Chancellor Angela Merkel will be formally released from office, though she will remain as caretaker Chancellor until a new government is in place. Well, let's have a look at how the new parliament shapes up. With 736 members, the Bundestag is now one of the largest parliaments in the world, and it has never been this big. More female lawmakers were elected this time than last time, but women are still a long way from reaching parity in numbers. More than a third of the new intake are women, including the first two trans women to take seats. More than 11% of the incoming lawmakers have migrant backgrounds, 3 percentage points up on last time. Well, DW political correspondent Nina Hase joins us from the Bundestag. Welcome, Nina. What has been happening in this first session and what can we expect?
Well, today was obviously the beginning of a new era in German politics, with the new Bundestag holding its very first session. That is always exciting, but today it was particularly exciting because it was also the beginning of the end of the era of Angela Merkel, the Chancellor. She sat on the viewers' ranks today. She was here at the session, but because she decided to not run again during this election, she had to take a back seat, essentially. So the Bundestag has now elected its new president and all the deputies, and interestingly it went for the third woman in post-war German history, Bärbel Bas from the Social Democrats. So the role of the president always goes to the party with the biggest group in the parliament, and that is this time around the Social Democrats. And later today Angela Merkel and her ministers will receive their formal documents releasing them officially from their duties, but that government will stay in power as caretaker government until the next government is sworn in.
So it's not just Angela Merkel leaving, though, is it? It's her party leaving government after 16 years. And that's going to be a big change, isn't it?
That is going to be a big change, and here to talk about exactly that, what does that mean for the Conservatives to go into opposition, I have somebody from the opposition, from the CDU, from the Conservatives, Thomas Heilmann. So how are the CDU, how are you going to shape that role of opposition party? You're not used to it.
We're not used to it, and we don't like to be used to it now, but we have to accept it. Quite frankly, we don't know how it will go, and we have to learn it.
You are a digital expert. Angela Merkel in 1999 declared you the honorary internet expert of the CDU. And now, 22 years later, Germany is lagging behind when it comes to digital infrastructure, when it comes to all things internet. Where did your party go wrong?
I mean, the problem is that we have to change the culture. We have to change the culture in the entire country. So I talk about cities, we talk about states, and we got nationwide. And this cultural change didn't take place, honestly. And we needed to have Corona to be aware of it. And we now made big changes, but you can't really see it now. But it will have a big change within the next year. So this will go with a new government.
Yeah, exactly. That new government, those parties at least, they have declared digital, all things digital, one of their top priorities, along with the fight against the climate crisis. So what is your role then? Why do we need the Conservatives? What are the new Conservatives going to be? Which topics will you try and represent?
Some colleagues and myself, we made an initiative a year and a half ago called Neustart, where we declare it has to be the #1 priority and what we have to gonna do, and we're pretty happy that the new government said we want to continue this project, and our role is now to control that they really do so.
Okay, well, good luck with that. Good luck with getting used to that new role of opposition leader. Thank you very much, Thomas Heilmann. You have to run off to another meeting, so we'll let you go. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, that was Thomas Heilmann, one of the digital experts with the CDU, the Conservatives, Angela Merkel's Conservatives, who are having to get used to that new role of opposition party.
And so with new parties trying to form a government, Nina, what sort of policies can we expect from this parliament?
Well, we've briefly touched upon it already. Of course, the Social Democrats are now the biggest party group in the new Bundestag, and they have taken over from the Conservatives. They are currently in negotiations, in coalition talks with the Greens and the FDP to form that new government that hopefully we'll have by Christmas. And of course, they have a big majority here if that government actually comes together between the Social Democrats, the Greens and the FDP, but they are not natural allies, so there are quite a few sticking points still in those coalition talks, and they will go on for a couple of weeks still, but they all say that they're optimistic that they'll overcome the biggest hurdles and that we will hopefully have a new Chancellor-led government led by Chancellor Olaf Scholz by mid-December.
All right, thank you for that. DW political correspondent Nina Haase. So, plenty of young first-time MPs in Germany's new parliament. DW correspondent Thomas Sparrow met two of them to hear about their hopes and expectations.
Two fresh faces for the new German parliament, and two very different political realities. It's Florian Müller's first day as an MP. The 34-year-old represents the centre-right CDU party. Today is a very special day for me. I have been elected to the Bundestag for the first time. A grueling, an intense campaign is behind me, and now it's a matter of actually becoming a proper MP. Müller may be excited, but his party is in crisis. It had its worst ever result in September's election, and it's now preparing for life in opposition after 16 years of leading the country with Angela Merkel. That's our job, not to be fundamentally in opposition, but to take a constructive approach to ensure that this country is well governed. Schroeder's Liberal FDP party knows life in opposition only too well. The 29-year-old first-time MP is excited.
It is of course exciting to go into the plenary hall for the first time now as a Member of Parliament, but I also feel a great responsibility and I'm also honoured to be here.
After 4 years in opposition, the Liberals are currently in coalition talks to join the next government. Many young people voted for them, and that's particularly important for Schroeder.
I want to work to ensure that the perspective of young people has an impact here, that the issues that are important to young people, education, climate protection, digital development, are also on the agenda.
Müller and Schroeder, two new MPs that stand for the profound political change that is just beginning to unfold as Germany enters the post-Merkel era.